just wanted a t-shirt and pants because I didn't want to get up this morning. And I went about and did my things. And so then I got really cold, so I put on the vest.
I have it on tape. Off the chair and sit
like my, oh, and Frank, in honor of you, actually in honor of her.
But you're wearing
the sacred pink beads. Beads. I said that weird.
The sacred pink beads.
The sacred pink beads.
Are you recording?
Yes, I'm recording.
Okay. Bogus, you know what it looks like you really want to be picked up and hugged. That wasn't very good. Come here. Oh, Bogus. Let's do one of Bogus. Boy, does he look thrilled. Comments, Bog? Come on. No, you can't get down. Okay, he's had enough. I love making faces in the mirror. These are the kind of faces I make. I go.
Yarg.
He usually goes. There we go. Oh, that's not a trick. Bogus whizzing on Brad's car and Brad chasing after him trying to pee on him back. Now that's a trick.
That's it. Ultimate.
Delicious. Nutrition. Where's my folder? Oh, good.
Doesn't she look made for the movies?
I don't think so.
What movie?
Yeah, what movie?
You know, when my sister was born, when my sister was being born, my father and I were out in the lounge watching Creature in the Black Lagoon.
Dark hairs.
That was insane.
A jar is a jar.
Yeah.
Killer music, dude.
This is the best show.
And all of a sudden Metallica comes in. You know, when was the last time we heard junk fucking metal? You know that? It's been ages.
Not long enough.
Junk fucking.
Let's hear.
I rarely get the urge for that anymore.
Ever since Corey moved out, why? No, I haven't had the urge.
Just try these pictures of water.
I was at a bar in Arcata, and I think I've seen the most years this guy parachuting back, and then it folded into itself in the back, and it looked like it had never been folded in years. It was about this long.
They do that all the time.
It was
No, I don't think I was in any other life. I just wished I were.
And I was thinking,
I don't
almost
remember
like
the
it was
reason it happened.
out of a book, like it was a little bar out of the house somewhere.
We're not
All
gonna
these
do
people were really
to go to
good at bizarre
Ashland Island. Well, it's just because
And I
of
was in
finals.
Arcata, and Arcata is a bizarre place.
Next Friday.
When I first
Tell me
went
to
there,
plan my
it's like a
weekend.
mirror image almost of Ashland. It's like Ashland's twin sister city.
Really?
You know, at first, and then I got to really
To
dig
plan
into
a
it. It
weekend
was
ahead.
bizarre. It was
No,
weird.
it has to be spontaneous,
Oh, by far.
okay?
It was-
You have to call me 5
There
minutes
was no
before
contest.
we go.
Yeah, no, better yet.
Go.
There's
I was in Nashville last night.
Okay.
I was in Nashville last
I
night.
mean,
The night before last.
Does anyone know where I can buy chloroform? In Medford?
Probably at one of the
I know where you
insect
can rent
killers
it.
or a plant seller.
No option to borrow.
Good, good.
I got to see belly dancers last night. It was pretty intense.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
gents.
I love belly dancers.
Ladies.
You were dreaming about belly dancers?
I went to my grandpa's Sophie.
You did what?
I went to my grandpa's
Oh, I thought you said I went to bed with a couple 16th birthday.
Actually, it might be fun.
But now that I've told you, I can't do it.
Now,
It's kind of
Oh,
funny.
sure we
Which
can.
everyone
actually
signed in,
yes.
correct? Except me, I forgot to.
That's not the
That's
thing
not,
she was
no,
talking
there's
about.
something else that she
Kat,
does.
you are inhibiting my emotions.
That's something.
Well,
Ah,
it's too weak.
I don't like this.
I just
It's like
hope
a
that's
whole
not
bunch
what
of
you
people
told
know
me.
He's got a
something.
personality.
I have mine's going sideways.
I don't know. It might not be. But it just seems like
I hope
a lot of
Mine goes
people.
in circles.
Because it
No,
would
something
really
I
Okay,
don't
is this
know.
number
I love
17?
rotary motion.
It is number 17.
Yes, it is last week.
Do you know that pilots,
That's
jet
the first
pilots
thing.
do
Today
it
thought
with
that 'cause I said
thrust?
17.
Thieves do it with knives.
Just sitting on my stupid roots.
You bet. Dwarves do it underground. Elves do it in the trees.
Hold it, let me get it.
Assassins do it behind your back.
Well, we went to the force.
Now, how many people have something to read that's
In
their
Sean's
own?
living room.
I,
Kind of.
2, 3.
You know, let's reverse order and go clockwise.
How many people have something to read that they may have read before, but since we're videotaping it, we'll read now.
Oh, we're videotaping.
I don't have
We're going
Ah!
to videotape something. This right now is being videotaped for those of you who are shy or scared.
I'm not shy or scared, but
I knew
God.
someone was going to do that if I let him know.
We have red lights on, so we would all figure
I'm
it
not
out.
reading nonsense because I don't know.
Actually, I would
what
have
it
never
means.
figured it out.
Actually, I already knew
I
it.
hadn't read this, so I brought it many of times. We just
Okay,
never.
so everyone's got something
Should
to
I
read
read
in
that?
effect.
I can come
Brett,
up
this
with
is
something.
about everyone else.
Brent,
Brett's
you
gonna
can
make
read
up a
something
story.
from mine.
Okay.
I can read some of my old poetry.
I'm not reading
I
the.
can read
Something I
I'll
really
find
hate.
it.
You want me to read it?
No, I can read it.
Now, how many people, well, follow
Oh,
my
nice. A
situation
blank
on
piece
the
of
board.
paper.
are above the age of 17 but below the age of 35.
I heard something described.
Ta-da! Oh,
I've
actually,
got
he's
aliens
below
texting with me.
17.
What? Nice.
Oh, you may begin. At any time.
Okay, the first one was just a short one, and I thought a lot about books and the information that they offer, and it goes like this. I know the answers to all of your questions, but yet I do not reveal them. Why? Because you really don't want to know the answers, you only want to ask the questions.
It's very profound.
Okay, and the second one I call waves. Oh no, here it comes again, that familiar sound of crashing waters. It starts faintly with a swelling motion and increases in intensity, getting louder and louder until my whole world is swallowed up in its wake. I know if I can hold on just for a little while, I won't have to scream. Then it will slowly recede and all will be calm again. But what would happen if it didn't go away like it has so many times in the past? Is it making me stronger or wearing me away? Only time and the waves will tell.
You could psychoanalyze that for a while.
Okay, this one I call What If. Thinking back on my journey, wondering if I took the right path, the forks in the road always seem to come after an unexpected turn of events. There were so many choices and so many reasons for going this way or that, but were they the right choices? Then there was What If, always there sitting on the signpost, always with her smile, her haunting smile of What If. But looking back, was it a smile or a smirk? Did I catch a tear in her eye? And was it a tear of happiness or sorrow? Did I make the correct choice? The path wasn't that easily marked, and yes, I did take the easy way sometimes. I was into shortcuts for a while. Did that change my chance of getting back home? Home, the warmth and security, the memories of the good times and the bad, but unconditional love and acceptance. Was that too on another path, just out of reach, just out of view? Can that what is lost ever be found again? My head is so heavy with decisions, choices, options, and questions. My feet are pointed forward, and yet oftentimes I want to go back, down the path to a time remembered, an easier, simpler time. My eyes look back, but my feet must remain forward, knowing that going back was never in the plan. Gone are those days, but not forgotten. And my last one is called Dragons. This is the one that's not completed, so anyway, I'll just go as far as I got. We all know what they are, or do we? Dragons have been around since before the beginning of time. They are a mystery to some and a fantasy to others, yet their true selves are rarely, if ever, understood. Where do they come from? Where do they live, and how or who summons them from their abode? They are, you know, very real. They come in many disguises and arrive at the most unopportune times. There they are suddenly beating their wings of adversity, stirring up all kinds of sorrows, while breathing out their hot, billowing smoke of despair and contempt. Do they make us cower away, giving into feelings of self-destruction and abandonment? Or do they awaken the immortal soul of self-mastery, the warrior and challenger? Dragons can bring out the best or the worst. They can break us or make us strong. When they are called, do we go prepared to battle with swords held high? Or are we consumed in the flames and hewn down? Do we arrive the victor or the victim? And then it's just kind of, I really wasn't all together there. I jotted something down that says, do we retreat trying not to be consumed by the flames or hewn down by the dragon's tail? And then that's it.
That's neat. Let me know when you finish that.
It'll be entered in the book.
But, sure.
But I don't see dragons as evil all the time.
No, they're not evil. They're actually, they make us strong. They can be our best friend.
I always thought of dragons as teachers.
Yeah, that's great. It's strange the European dragons are always evil and bad, but
The
China,
Chinese, their gods,
of
are
course,
worshipped.
the dragon was used as a symbol.
Kitty,
European
licky no.
Anyways, gosh, guy, really.
You were very insightful.
This did they only use local anesthesia?
Yeah, that's right. I gave up caffeine this week. I'm allowing myself one last dose. But
Gave up caffeine.
I gave up caffeine again.
All right, Frank.
So what are you
I
gonna
can't. That's great. I've quit cigarettes lots of times.
Well, I'm thinking
But I've
about.
done it hundreds of times.
Only the most highly caffeinated drink there is.
Well, I
Explain
decided
this,
Friday nights I can go ahead and indulge in caffeine.
That's the worst thing you can do. If you're not gonna drink caffeine, you shouldn't drink it at all. Because if you start trying to quit,
You should have
drinking,
that.
you're gonna
Cold turkey, without a doubt.
You should have one bottle of Mountain Dew in your refrigerator at all
I'm gonna drink my
times.
7-Up instead of your
It's
water.
like in the War of the Roses. Remember that when they had the one
Go
cigarette?
ahead and drink it. Show your weakness.
And they fought
Be
over
proud
it?
of them.
Remember that, Jill? In the
Jolt
War of the Roses,
Cola.
that Danny DeVito quit cigarettes. He had the
Jolt
one
Cola has
cigarette.
about
Keep
20
that one
grams
bottle of
of
Mountain
caffeine
Dew in there.
Without a doubt, I'd say twice the caffeine. That's right.
That's incredible.
Okay, Kat.
Twice the caffeine and all the sugar. You know, I drank Jolt. I had duty one weekend. And I had to get
It's
similar to
Only if you stay up for a couple of days.
It's horrible though because it's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, we got
where
big
just
bags.
caffeine-
Read
You need the sugar
We've
to
got
balance
big
it.
bags of caffeine at work. It's
With
great.
just the caffeine, it's
Isn't
almost
that what
like
no
Really?
dose is almost? It's just
Big bags of
Big
caffeine.
bags of
yeah, but
caffeine.
that's
Yeah,
about
it's
only
a
about
rough
Comes in
50.
white powder form. That's big powder.
357.
Dude.
Look, got a caffeine
I like-
high.
You
Yeah.
want it to stop. It's really horrible. You're so
smoke caffeine meth. Who needs crystals? Sounds like someone I know.
Mark, if you can at all try to be normal. No, you can't use other humans this year.
Once in a
Actually, I don't want to
lifetime
read that
chance,
one again until I've rewritten it.
Oh, come on.
Is this the Psychic Wars?
Yeah. But everyone,
never got to hear
well,
this.
several of us have heard it.
Yeah, we're sick of the homosexual
What is it, the
thing,
Psychic
Frank.
Wars?
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Oh,
it
is
yet.
it
I want to
this
hear
one?
it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd like
it's
to
kind of-
videotape it actually.
It needs to be rewritten badly.
But we want to read it here.
This was like one of those times when I got suddenly inspired of the pen and I couldn't sleep and I just had to write for about, I don't know, 2 hours before I could go to bed. And I was drained when I did, and it's really rough.
I think you've sufficiently covered your ass. So.
No.
She
She's
said
eating
pizza.
a Failing candy bar.
Okay, I will read this.
Do it.
For the benefit- How many have not heard it anyway? Well, that's a sufficient.
That's a healthy number. Healthy number.
And yeah, keep in mind all of my standard list of reasons for why it's not perfect.
I know
You wrote it.
I had known they were coming, and by the same token, I knew that there was nowhere on this planet that I could hide. Nowhere. So I packed what little I would need and waited. Later that day they pulled into my driveway. I was outside waiting for them. As the dark sedan pulled forward, I could see a pale-faced man in the passenger seat pointing at me. The sedan stopped beside me. I noticed the official emblem on the door, a white glowing disc with a red streak arcing across the door. The driver rolled down the window. "Jonathan Hawthorne?" It was not a question. "Yes, sir," I responded. "You've been drafted. Get in." As I had known, it was useless to resist him. I got in the back. The driver introduced himself as Fred McIntyre, a driver for the psych force. The man next to him was Joe Kincaid, a sniffer. The official name of a sniffer was a psychic locator. They would find and track down any mind that used psi forces. I was such a person, and now the newest fighter in the psychic wars. The history books told us that man had been warring since recorded time and before. Once they used flat metal objects that were sharpened to cut and maul their enemy. From string devices, they propelled sticks into their enemies from greater distances. As technology grew, man created newer and more efficient ways to kill his brothers. Ultimately, they developed fusion planet busters. These devices could release the power of the sun upon the earth. Suddenly, the war efforts ceased. Mutual destruction was the only result of these super bombs. So man went inward with the problem. Psychic research had been going on for years prior. Now it was viewed as the solution. The psychic force was instigated to find and develop this talent for the new war effort. The enemy must have gone through a similar process.
He's filming our feet.
What?
Sorry. It was Brent's idea. Keep going, Frank.
Both of them.
We're still,
I was listening.
we haven't lost the concentration.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. Continue.
When we started attacking, they were attacking us as well. The psychic wars had been going on for over 50 years. I don't recall the ride to headquarters. I was lost in thought about the farm life that I would never know again. It was not an easy life, but it was one that I enjoyed. The harvest was my favorite time of year. The smells of grains drying, lying on straw in the barn, family stories by the fireplace at night. All these and more gone. I was hustled from one room to another. I was given tests. Some were written, others oral or physical. Still others were on another plane. I would be seated across from Masai. He would begin to probe my thoughts. I could feel his mind digging into mine. I was to try and stop him. This I did gladly, for to have another inside my mind was a horribly defiling experience. Most of these invaders I could resist. Some, however, possessed such a will that no force I could muster could prevent them from digging deeper and deeper. After these experiences, I would feel an uncleanliness that no washing could ever cleanse. My first night on base was spent in a small cubicle with a bed, desk, and a chair. There was a small restroom connected between the rooms, connecting them. There were locks on both sides of the door. The list of dorm rules required that I lock my door at all times to prevent theft. I had nothing that I couldn't live without, but I obeyed. Punishments, I was told, could be quite severe. They ranged from physical beatings to mind shocks from a Psi marksman. A marksman could kill at unlimited distances. It could also cause incredible pain that left almost no permanent damage. They were rarely used in punishment except in extreme cases.
Like leaving your dog or not.
Damn you! Any attack on the side would weaken him, and we were all needed for the war effort. It takes almost a year to test and train a new recruit. The testing would find their aptitude in the various forms of mind weaponry. Here I learned what the arsenal consisted of. The psychic locator was the key to finding personnel. It could reach out across the globe and find any mind that possessed psi power. Once found, there was no way to escape them. Astral warriors did most of the reconnaissance. They were adept at leaving their physical forms and traversing to enemy territory and gathering data on the enemy. Their key personnel, maybe I'll just read it and see if it makes sense. Their key personnel, what protection they had, any facts that could be used against the enemy. While an astral warrior was out of his body, he was highly susceptible to attack. Sensitives on the enemy's side sometimes felt their presence and would attack and occupy the unguarded body. The warrior's body and mind would then die. The marksmen were rare and guarded very closely. They were the only ones who could lash out their will and destroy others' minds, leaving only a shell that soon would wither away. Occasionally there would be a backlash. The full force of the marksman's mind would be deflected back into him. He would drop to the ground, his mind exploded. The protectors, or shields, were in charge of stopping mental attacks towards officials, marksmen, and groups of new recruits, and the other members of the war effort. Shields are constantly under attack. They have the highest mortality rate. Sensitives and probes worked similarly. As a sensitive felt the emotions of a person, a probe could reach into the thoughts and pull forth any information needed. My experiences with them left no wonder as to why captured spies always tried to suicide. Benders were the most common. They had the ability to bend perceived reality to the point that a target could not distinguish what is from what is not. The target could kill his own people and believe he was winning the war. Some benders could influence large groups of people. These were somewhat rare, but very efficient in eliminating large numbers of people. I fell into the category of shield. I showed some promise in bending. Specialization was how the war was fought. Better to train one area to its fullest so as to get the most use out of a soldier. Being a shield had some advantages. My thoughts were my own. Very few could penetrate a shield's thoughts. Thus I began training. I was taught exercises to strengthen my mind. I was tested constantly to check the progress, check the rate of my development. There was little time to develop friendships. There was almost no communication amongst the soldiers. When I no longer showed progress, I was rated and assigned my duties. I had ranked high enough to warrant my guarding of a marksman. His name was Michael Turner. Here, friendship was encouraged. The reason, the more you felt towards someone, the harder you would work to protect it. We were both moved to the same room. One room with 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 chairs. It was during the time with him that I had my first experience of love. We developed a bond that transcended more physical pleasures and closeness. Our minds developed an empathy and understanding of each other. We could keep no secrets from each other. We didn't want to. Our love included perfect trust and complete communication. The Force was correct. You will fight harder for what you love. But no one can always be prepared. The drain is too much. An attack came in the middle of the night. Mike screamed. I awoke and shielded at full force. But too late. They had won another victory. Blood leaked from his ears as he fell back under the bed, unmoving. That was the last time I cried. All my emotions had died with him. I was allowed almost no time to grieve. The war effort continued, so must I. I was assigned to a minor dignitary. He was a mental strategist.
They didn't like that dignitary very much.
One of those whose job it was to place soldiers to various assignments where they could best use their talents. I only knew him as Mr. Jefferson. Yeah, he was short and black. There were a few attacks against him. I had time to heal somewhat. Sometimes an attack would come and I could feel that it wasn't directed at him. They wanted me out of the way. I had known that such things happened, but it unnerved me. Time flowed by. I didn't count the days, the years. There was no reason to. Few soldiers retired. Most were tallied as casualties of the war effort. I was weakening. I could feel the power ebb. I was assigned lower posts, less important people. There the attacks would be less frequent and less determined. Yet despite these minor precautions, it happened. An attack was sent. A ripping probe cut through my best defense. My mind was being churned. Thoughts were torn loose. I couldn't scream. I just fell, twisted in agony. And then, black. When I awoke, I found myself in a bed. A nameless voice informed me that I had received a mind attack, but that I had survived. It also told me that I was no longer enlisted. My mind was of no value to them.
Your IQ 3.
As I sit in front of my window, I recall the last words that the nameless voice had said all those years earlier. You're one of the fortunate ones, son. Most don't survive. I feel tears flowing out of my eyes. It's purely a physical act. I cannot feel sorrow, love, or happiness. I have no emotion left. I wonder, am I one of the fortunate ones?
That is a cool story.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
Read that earlier, Frank.
That is cool. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yes.
That is great.
Definitely. They ought to make a book out of that for sure. Movie would be good.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready, Shawn.
Guts!
Feel much better now, thank you. Guts. I don't know
Kill
where it
him
came
for
from.
me, somebody.
I have no idea.
This story is.
This guy yawning, Jill, staring, touching her hand.
Well, I want to know what was going on.
Yeah,
in
if
your-
you read
in
this,
your-
I-
where it was reading.
I'm sitting here like this,
Exactly.
and I look at him, and he goes like this. And Greg turns. I'm watching the camera. I watch it. Like this.
Same thing, just go.
By the way, my house tomorrow to help us move from the garage, so we can use that for a while.
We'll
You're
sleep in the
gonna
garage.
move from the house into the garage.
Well, I'm moving my stuff over to another
If you get
friend's
to the
house.
end, go for the
I don't have much.
Just a few rocks.
Did Brando get into that house and found
No.
I know that song you played.
What kind of lay was it?
Times and I've got it memorized already.
What kind of lay was it? Leaf or flower?
Neither.
Oh, really?
that
Shell.
pointing at?
One shot.
Shell?
She's a
Talking
shell and like
about
it too, but she like
You
missed a
talking-
lot of. All of hers
Yeah,
fell off
I
and I
Full
have
time
them now.
Yeah.
communication.
So I have half of her lay, but
Half of her lay?
Whoa.
because
You
her
share
lay
it.
Half a lay's better than none.
You mean you both?
wait, apart, so
I was tearing it
I
apart.
know.
What do you mean?
Oh my god.
No one can eat just one.
I can tell by this.
Be passionate. You know, in Mexico they give you a lay of toilet paper.
A lay of toilet paper.
Oh, you're just playing
Yeah.
out this.
I heard that on Bill
Oh,
Cosby.
Ah.
Severy said. And the light is on red.
Oh, anyway, I'll continue. I'll read this one. Riley was always a queer bird. Even as youths, I remember his odd behavior, but accepted it as a child's merriment or perhaps a primitive form of rebellion. He was a strange child, yes, but he was a much stranger adult. I first met him when I was enrolled in the pseudo-educational, pseudo-religious state-run program. I was 6 at the time and did not understand the subtle nuances of contradiction and its effects on the developing pre-adolescent mind, but I would learn. Perhaps my greatest misfortune in life was having the last name Richardson, for this meant I would be seated and alphabetically grouped throughout my academic career with Riley. This was my first contact with him. My first memory, or the education class was my first contact with him. My first memory of him is vivid, for the most part because I'd never seen a 6-year-old with a cigarette lighter, and never have since. It was a disturbing sight seeing him spin the striker and the flame jump violently in front of his grinning face. It was still more disturbing when I learned that I would be seated in front of him. Even now, the sight of his lighter gives me pause. Riley never really harmed me, not physically anyway, but he looked like a person who might harm someone. It was not just his extensive paraphernalia. It was just that insipid, grating, maniacal grin that went on and on and on until it crept through one's skin and into the spine, nesting like some confused bird with electrical feathers and poor eyesight. Stop on that one. Oh Lord, need a drink.
That's great.
You can stop that now, Mark. When ready.
See if I can read this. Okay, this one is actually going to be published if I ever pay them the money for it.
Paying to get published. Sounds like classified advertising.
Okay, it's entitled One Last Flight. On silver wings the phantom flies, a mighty steed across endless skies. She's searching for battle, for one more fight, before she comes in from her last flight. With thundering power she banks and turns, even her pilot can feel how she yearns. She plunges ahead, begging to race, for not many a bird can match her fiery pace. Her throttles move forward, her engines roar, the clouds stream past, yet she asks for more. The wind strains to catch her and begs for the chance to waltz with her on her last dance. The music departs and the wind blows by as twilight's glow touches the sky. Her journey is over, her battle's all won, as she settles to earth like the setting sun. Her engines are silent now, she won't fly again, but her legend will live on in the dreams of men. And that's it.
Cool.
Alright, cheerio.
It's so
Mighty
sad.
F4. It is. It's so sad. I love those birds. They're like all gone now. They won't fly them. It's depressing. But that's okay.
Okay, Brian.
I have nothing to read.
Not touching.
You heard it, folks. A confession.
You're gonna go like this.
You are forgiven in God's eyes.
I have been healed.
Yeah.
We should all be talking Indian accents.
Shawn, can you tell me how do you get American shape?
An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind.
Not sure where this one's going.
But Gandhi's my hero. You know, when I had this big fight with Sally, it was great. I watched both parts of Gandhi every night to strengthen myself. We were not striking low, but we will receive many. You can say that again. No. I think I'm overrating
gonna
the
watch
situation. This is Eyewitness News with Connie Chung. No, this is really serious, folks. This is going to go down in the annals of history.
Anals?
Annals.
Animals. There's a
That
difference,
thing's very-
you know.
Shut up! Stop laughing! You're having fun. Shut up! Stop laughing.
Were you gonna say something? I don't know.
Do you want me to read my poem?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
This is
Like
the
this.
first reading for this poem. This is only the beginning of it. I have
Oh,
like a
the one
table
to
of
Jennifer.
contents. Yeah. I'm serious. It turned
Okay.
out I just kept writing and writing and writing.
Oh.
So I have kind of bits and pieces of every part. But the first part of it, first section, is complete.
Excellent.
It's kind of a story. It's entitled Once. There was a place and a prince that stood lowly. At one time he was holy, but now amidst gray dells and blue waterfalls, the cold grips, the old scars, the shadow and his pride had left him. The vine's fingers have worn and torn away the stones of a well, where often he would wait for the well maid, and he would talk with her and see beyond her face and station, and she would talk with him and see beyond the scars. She secretly craved his company and soft speech. One day he brought a hunting falcon because he wanted to delight her and did not believe that words would suffice. She said, "His crest is handsome and round, and his eye is golden deep. But lo, his talons are red with blood." The falcon remembers, "I am the falcon. Unhood me, you fool, and let me see the light. Ah, off from the wrist and hovering in flight. My sight is clear and hard, and my beak is a sharp spear carried on barbed wings. The beasts of the ground call me death, and squeal that word with their last breath. My cry is heard, and they flee, although I fly silently through the vault of the air, swooping low like an arrow shot. I take the hare before its time. I slaughter and deprive of life that I may live and provide my lord with sport. I return to the wrist and balance myself. Dear lady, that is why there is blood on my talons." Down into the dells they wander, where all is quiet and cool, where the sun's eye does not look upon the shaded pool there, from whence the fountain springs beneath a surface of glass, wherein the maple trees peer, protected there by the brook, sliding away into the forest's thick grasp. There's a spot. She says, she has a quote, saying that if the well dries up, if the well stops pumping water into this, the pool will dry up and the brook will be no more, and the things around it will die. And he says back to her, "Yes, my lady, we will serve our God always." And then it moves to the next scene.
Ta-da.
Yeah, I can tell this is incredibly
Fade in
exciting.
and out for scene
Yeah.
change.
Okay, fade.
I'm as faded as I could get.
They go down to the meadow and soon are swathed in high green, the daffodils bloom. My master leans down and lifts one of the flowers' heads. A puff of yellow pollen drifts over its brother's beds. He says, "Dear lady," gosh, this is mushy. "This flower withers in winter and sleeps until the light of spring awakens her again. The milk of the earth and time nourishes her stem to full stature. Then in the morning of all seasons, in the silence of this meadow, her bloom will crown her head with yellow and white. Does this lessen the glory of the stalk and roots? Are they now unnecessary now that the bloom is achieved?" She says, "We will be friends eternally." And now it really breaks down. Anyways, the next scene is by the sea. And it's to the falcon once again. "The land melts in a mist below me, and the harbor by the sea. The seagulls flee at my approach. A second cry comes from my throat." Anyways, the seasons move on at nature's pace. One fades only to be replaced. The next major scene is a battle scene where this unknown king comes up and he storms, just totally annihilates the castle where the prince is, and he ends up dying in it. Zoom. Let me see. Gray haze has crept amidst the trenches that lay as scars across the land, and amidst the thin birch stripped bare by winter, etc., etc. Frightening. Anyways, she comes, finds him dead. The next scene is his funeral, right? The falcon in flight draws near as they lay him sadly on the bier. His sword and horn at his sides, into the harbor his last ship glides. His feet now shod with kingly shoes, drifting out to sea. Bows are drawn, and flaming arrows loose to alight the sails of the last journey. And the falcon, this is like one of the final scenes. The falcon comes and like alights next to her, and he says, "Do you not know that the spirit of the master lives on in the servants," and so forth and so on. And she understands him. And then the very final scene, which I finished by the way, is the falcon, the ship, like goes off to the horizon. That's the last word that scene is horizon. The falcon also goes over land to the other way to the horizon. And I have that written, which is probably the best part, I think. This is the twilight world, when our Mother Earth has conquered, having trampled the works of men beneath her gentle green feet. I take to flight, I screech and I see all the country below me. Last light has flown to the horizon, clouds crowd on the edge, and wet green is grown all beneath. I speed and I see the works of man fading like a forgotten memory, remembered no more for our mother. Life and life without end, just my wings and the sky is my friend. Expanses of plants and rivers blue, an ocean of vitality, going on forever into eternity, as far as my sharp eye can see. Duh.
That sounds neat.
Anyways.
It's kind of difficult to read, but I'll try. Are you ready?
I'm absolutely 100% prepared.
Do you believe murder is wrong? Well, I don't. At least I didn't used to. I mean, at the time that I killed my sister, oh, by the way, they still don't know. They think she's missing. That hiding place sure was good. I would tell you, but I'm afraid you would go and see if I was lying or telling you the truth. So, you will never know. Too bad on your part. I don't think it was wrong killing my sister. In fact, I'm glad. Life has been much better. Living on the edge, not knowing what's going to happen next, it's kind of exciting. But my views have changed now. Since then, I do believe it is wrong to kill or murder people. I started seeing this guy, you see, and his thoughts have made a great impact on my life. He's strongly against all harm and cruelty, to say the least. He doesn't know about the murder. If he did, he would dump me immediately, so I keep it a secret from him. Though I intend to tell everyone at my funeral. Nobody would have suspected me being the one whom everybody always loved and adored for so many years. It would be a great upset, to say the least. I would love to see the expressions on their faces. They wouldn't believe it. They would claim it all a joke and say I was always one who joked, wouldn't they? But if I told them we're the hiding place ones, don't you bet that those who didn't believe would go to it? And that is my story.
April,
That's cool.
I am impressed. It's come a long way in your writing, to say the least, since we started this.
Math
To
class
say the
hard.
least. To say the least.
And what kind of elements do you think were the result
Is your
of that?
sister missing?
No, Emma.
Do you have a sister?
When-
It has nothing to do
Just
with
like
my sister.
when Valley girls kill their own.
That was what you wanted to do, Julianne, for
No,
years.
I've got a poem. It's short and kind of sweet.
Okay,
Sweet.
we're ready for it. Go for it. Do it.
She kills her other sister in this one.
Kill your parents this time.
Okay. Behind the shadows and behind the mystery, the truth should be told. To most, they walk away and is never said again. to others a fantasy to behold in their hand. Simple.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
What were you looking at? My scribbles on the paper. So,
Just
when
kidding, it's all in front
nobody
of
else
us.
would ever
I
come
just
up
get a kick out of
with
saying that.
One and two stories, right?
Right.
Oh, right.
Okay,
I'm
write
trying
a
to get
mark
ahead
and
of myself.
We
That poem
take
you
a
wrote
picture
last
of him
week,
writing.
Jenny
Oh,
wants
that's-
me to
this
get
is
a copy of that for thematic interpretation she's doing for school.
Okay. The first one, I'm not going to say anything on the poem. It's made to make you think. But it's actually it's made to make you not think at the same time.
It's a Zen Buddhist poem. isn't it?
Yes. My attempt. Body like dry bone, mind like dead ashes. This is true knowledge, not to strive after knowing the whence. In darkness and in obscurity, the mindless cannot plan. What manner of man is that? Anyways.
That was it.
Thank God.
It is. No, I'm sorry, I can't find it.
Come on, Shawn.
Shawn,
Oh, wait, is this it?
This is it.
Nope, sorry.
Find
No,
it,
I
Shawn.
hope so.
Which is okay because Jill's turn.
You teased us.
Sorry. Well, my name's
Jill.
Shawn.
I don't have anything short to read. I've got something short. Give me
Yeah, my mind is
something
forming.
short.
You're gonna be
Like there was a
missionary
book
for Mormons.
when I was like really deep into reading all these like really long romance
Way down
novels,
here.
and it's
Shawn
called
doesn't
Bright
know.
Flows the River, and I thought that'd be a neat thing for a poem. So here's the poem that I wrote, 81. Bright flows the river through the deepening night, gloriously shining, a beautiful sight. The stars twinkling above, some angel's eyes looking down from midnight skies. A moon that's huge and wonderfully bright, smiling down all through the night. A glorious setting, all black, silver, and white, sparkling for me on this joyous night. That's it. It's short and sweet.
Hi, Frank. Have anything?
Hi. I have.
Yeah, read us something short, Frank. You have something short.
This is one of those poems that I wrote.
I love these poems. I think we all do.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
I was
Yeah, this-
wired on 3 different drugs and fish paralyzer it. 5 in the morning I hadn't slept for 8 days.
Yeah, this was one of those Eugene poems that I wrote.
Uh-oh.
It's got neat little red marks too where my instructor didn't like it. The bitch.
Wait, check to make sure nothing on the room is on fire.
This one is entitled The Journey. His journey began in the dead of night, to find his way to his most fearsome fright. The road led deep down inside of his mind, to his very thoughts the road did unwind. His life had been bound by the thing that he sought, until this moment he had never fought. It was so black with no size and no shape, too big for his mind, his thoughts it did rape. In the center of his mind he found it, calling out its name, he stood and faced it. Hearing its name, his fear faded away. Once defined, a fear has nowhere to stay.
Wow. All right. Very true.
I like it.
Have you read the Earth Sea trilogy?
No.
Yes.
Doesn't that remind you
By
of the last
Ursula
one in it?
Yeah. No, the first one.
The cameraman has phones.
Huh?
Shawn reads back.
No, the first one is about the shadow, and when he names the shadow.
He named it in the first one. I thought he didn't name it until the very end one.
There's the Wizard Sea, right? There's the Tombs Batuan, and then there's
Okay, I thought he didn't name it until the end when he names it in the first one.
I don't know. I can go
Well, no, I.
Oh, parables.
Okay. Okay. How this came about was this last year I went and helped a bunch of people pick pears up at a pear orchard. And so
Terrible.
okay,
It's a
they
parable.
came out. They came out not in large numbers, but enough to get the job done. They arose early to take care of the task at hand.
while others slumbered in their beds of warmth and comfort. They came from all types of backgrounds, some rich, some poor, but all would leave with the same reward. It was cool, but the smile soon warmed even the loneliest hearts. They all came to pick the pears, not for themselves, but for the Lord of the vineyard. Anyway, I was thinking,
I did that too, by the way.
That was a good
We
time.
used to make horrible pear puns. Like, this might be paradise. It was incredible how many
Have you guys seen the egg puns that they do?
we were really punished.
In Hawaii, they have like this little egg shape that you're supposed to draw on and make it into to a person or something. And I'm trying to think of it. They have really weird anything with egg in it. An egocentric person, and they've got a picture of something that has something to do with that, and they misspell it and they mispronounce it and all that. And if you can put an egg into it, then they draw a person like that. It's really weird.
That can be imaginary at the same time. And I picture two people that are identical and they're encompassed in darkness, and the one person is paying money to like a guy looking into a crystal ball, while the other guy is standing on a bunch of books representing knowledge, and he's standing up above the cloud and he can see, whereas the other guy is paying money to a wizard to peep into the dark.
I see.
Oh, that's neat.
I'm afraid I'm not that talented guy. People are definitely not my forte.
I'm learning to do people.
I wanted to
Draw
see
clothes
that.
on this. Well, you can get next week. You've got nude males. Egg
Story,
scratching.
Jill.
What?
I said, is it a CD story?
I wrote more on that actually.
I really enjoyed that. I hate to say it.
Bet you did,
Really-
Shawn.
Well, not graphic, it was...
What were you guys talking about?
The Aborigines in Vermont.
We're on.
If anyone
Yeah.
else wants to.
Right.
Well, this is an ancient work.
This is far removed from
Do it,
Oh, yeah,
Chris.
Once again,
Never
this
moved
is
from
another
outside.
Eugene
They will
story.
With all the flavor and magic that is Eugene.
Attention, attention.
It's gonna ring green to church.
When that light goes red, everyone's attention.
Okay. This is a fairly short one. I like the concept, but it's not well developed. It's entitled "Dogs Will Chase Their Tails."
I thought that was so funny.
It's a poem about men and women.
It's
Spot
not a
meets
poem.
Dick and Jane.
It's a real story. And at that point, Charles Parker went insane.
He's going insane.
I love it. The end at the first.
Charles was institutionalized for several months. Slowly, his reason returned to him. His memories came slower, but eventually most of them returned. It was the ones that remained missing that bothered him. He could recall all of his life until a month before he was committed. He had been experimenting with a new strain of mind-altering drugs as part of his master's degree in psychology. The subconscious mind is believed to be under the guidance of the conscious mind. But what if the subconscious mind were to take control over the conscious? This was the purpose of the experiments. The drug, M5, was noted to increase...
Isn't that the secret ingredient in Coke? Sorry.
was noted to increase intuitive response in several laboratory experiments with volunteers. Intuition is a trait of the subconscious. Large quantities had never before been taken. Upon release from the institute, Charles returned to his lab. It was in a shambles from the violent reaction caused by his mind going. A lot of damage had been done. Most could be replaced, save for the notes on his experimentation with M5. Nothing of his latest experiments survived. Once the lab was straightened, he knew he had to find out what had caused his insanity. The answer, he felt, was somewhere in his subconscious. He had to find it. Carefully, he measured the M5 in the hypodermic. This was far more than he had administered to anyone, including himself. He made sure everything was written accurately in his notes. There was a slight pain as the needle entered the vein. It would only take a few minutes before he would feel the effects. Waves of vertigo washed over him. The room blurred and then faded from sight. The two halves of his mind merged. One no longer controlled. All thought became one. The knowledge that he sought, came to him. He had done this experiment before. He had done it 5 other times before. It had ended the same each time. The insight that he gained was too much for him. And once again, Charles Parker went insane.
That's very good.
My puppy's chasing
M5.
No, I laughed when you said that because when we were in the pet
That's
store
really
today,
good.
this little chow puppy was sitting there, and she turned around to like bite her tail, and she couldn't reach it until she fell over, and then she had her tail in her mouth. She looked so happy.
Good job.
That was a good story.
That was good. I'm really impressed. Our first writers group,
Oh, I have something.
our first video tape. Tonight, guys, go ahead and flop down on the floor wherever you'd like. Don't let the worms bite. That's funny.
It
was
is
going
just
insane.
it is just random thoughts tied together because I had to furiously come up with things quickly. So here he goes.
So basically, Mark's normal story.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Wow, that's amazing.
The rain fell in a raging pour. Under its hidden stars, the people scurried about like rabid dogs through the streets, as if looking for some lost cause. You may be right. I may be crazy. Turn out the lights. Don't try to save me. Alone in your electric chair, and I alone in my hexed prison. 2 loonies unable to live out the rest of eternity together. All because of society's problem with our problems. Ironic, isn't it? I find myself no longer caring. I gave up all hope ages ago. All I have left are my crayons. 84 in all. There used to be 120, but I lost the best colors, you see. Oh well, I never was materialistic, you know. Perhaps a little sentimental, but never stuck on physical things. Maybe I'll get some new colors. Perhaps I'll be lucky. I deserve it. Every dog must have his day. Don't ask me why. That's just the way it is.
And I'm
Billy Joel theme.
I'm still standing on my own 2 feet, though. I am truly capable of taking care of myself. Why, yes, I even was able to go for a walk downtown just yesterday. I went to a few scenic places. Why, yes, I visited a marker of a murder. Yes, it was the 30th of its kind in the last week. I, of all people, should know. I visit these places of death often. I do truly enjoy it. There's a sort of familiar presence that can be found at a site of death. As if a gate had been opened between 2 very different planes of existence. Really is a rather warm feeling. Burn them all down, paint the town red. Why no, I think I'll paint it puce. Puce is the color of a female tick. Why, I had a pet tick once. When I was a child. It was a long time ago. A very, very long time ago. I remember it oh so well. Paris Island, we left our childhood there. Times were rough, but it didn't matter in the thick of the night. We had a great day in the park. We ruled the night, and the night seemed to last as long as 6 weeks in Paris Island.
I love it.
And they were sharp as
This
knives.
is when Billy Joel goes in.
They had many. The pain! Make it go away! Please, please, make it stop, make it go away! I can't take it any. And the paper boy threw the paper once again on the roof, and I could not resist any longer. He had to pay. Extremes, yes, it was extreme, but sometimes it's what we have to do. I am not insane, really. I just appear that way. I am quite normal, yes.
How many people are going to be surprised when Mark is institutionalized?
I was surprised.
No,
That's
yeah.
That's why I'm going to major in psychology when I grow up.
You keep just swinging your back and forth, Pat.
Oh yeah.
You don't give me time to make a face. There we go. Okay, how about another face?
I still say you look like Trish.
Don't look
Crombie.
Look at him. I mean, doesn't.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, but he fakely vaguely.
I can't
Just
even
kind of
place
flat.
it.
I'm a walrus. It'll be like, there's some sort of slime on here. What is that?
Nothing goes wrong. Must have been fluffy.
Frost
Must
doesn't
be
have
fluffy.
one.
Wait,
Sleep spread eagle naked with fluffy on.
Shawn, I've been meaning to speak to you about that. The sleeping naked was bad enough, but when you took up sleepwalking.
Oh, okay. You ever hit that special nerve that makes your hand kind of go?
I can't hold the camera still.
Whack! I'll never forget. Wait, I gotta
What
tell you
time
this. I was
is it?
working at McDonald's, and I was
10:38.
running at a
We'll
full
never make
sprint.
it to the Krusty
And this
Grill.
the edge of
Wait,
this
when do
metal
they
thing-
close?
Midnight.
This will be on tape, so
She
everyone.
didn't.
We've got an hour and 20
Come on,
minutes.
I'm listening.
It's okay. Anyways, I hit the edge of this metal thing, and it hit me right in my thigh muscle, and it split it into two black mounds of pulsating flesh.
Oh,
That was the Charlie horse of the century. I swear it went to the bone. It hurts so bad.
Okay, everybody give Shawn sympathy. 1, 2, 3. Oh.
I feel a lot better now.
What were you talking about?
Just something that happened years ago.
Say that again.
Why do you write?
I'll answer first. I write because it's a journal of my life, my mental state. It's not that I write for creativity's sake, it's because I write so that future generations may be enlightened by my experiences. Yeah.
Good crew under the
And-
table now.
April?
I'm
Why
for
do I
Pathological Liars Anonymous.
Because teachers tell you to.
It expresses deep emotional feelings. That's why I write.
As she says in
Yeah.
the list.
Sean?
You're talking
Because it's
about
one of the
killing
best
your
ways
sister.
that I can express myself in good with words.
But am I really
That
talking
and I think that those of the female kind can really appreciate a good poem.
You can get hot babes and everything.
That's right.
I won't tell you what
Brent, why do you write?
Jennifer said about
Well,
you,
so
Shawn.
far I haven't.
Why don't you write?
Yes.
Next,
The next question comes up.
The three Jennifers.
Denise?
Jennifer of Ashland.
I don't know, it's
Yeah,
just
but
when a poem comes to me or
Because
something,
I
I
don't
write
care
it
what
down
anyone
just because
else
it's there. I mean, it's like when I draw a picture, I just
Well,
do it
it's about
because
getting
it's
hot
there.
babes, Paul.
Because it's there. It's like climbing a mountain or anything.
It's kind of like riding a horse, you do it because it's there.
Jill?
I write because I have ideas in my head that I feel are worthy of being expressed.
Ooh, as she says with this taste.
So the pressure's on Frank. Why do you write?
I don't. I've plagiarized everything.
We knew that.
Yo,
I just want to let you know.
Get out now.
catharsis.
The plagiarizer's group.
Catharsis.
Yeah!
What is it?
I'm not sure what
An
it is, but it
emotional
sounds good.
purging. It's the only way I express any emotion.
You're kind of a sad creature, aren't you, Frank?
Let's give Frank some
I'm
sympathy.
pitiful.
Guy, it's your turn.
You write for profit.
The smartest of us all.
You're a PhD.
Well, I write because it helps maybe release things that are pent up inside. That's the easiest way to release them is putting them down in words, and then I can kind of analyze what it was that was inside of me that wanted to get out.
Expression that basically.
Oh, which reminds me. We need to play
And now,
laser
Greg,
tag
the
soon.
camera is turned
Why
on
do
you.
you
Me?
write, Greg?
Yes.
Yes.
Greg.
What?
Greg,
What?
Greg, Greg.
I don't.
Get
I
out in
can't
the
see
front.
me in the camera.
I wonder why.
No matter where I turn, I'm still not in the picture.
Great.
Can I
Why
get
do you
by that?
write?
Crush legs.
Why do you write, Greg?
You probably have the focus off, but that's alright.
No, it's fine.
Why do
It's
I
okay,
write?
the little
Because
facial features.
I believe someday aliens will visit the Earth, and I want a transcript of my life to give to them.
Before they use you for scientific
Are you the puppy man?
experiments.
I write because I am the puppy man. The puppy man can, because he mixes it with dog hair.
Plum and dogs.
Um,
Makes all those-
No, I write because I feel that it is my duty in life to write.
Greg, give us a break. Open yourself up.
No, I write
No, I don't like
because...
You started this writing group too, didn't you?
Come on, Greg.
The pressure's on.
Maybe it's because those who write or those who don't write are no better than those who can.
True. I think if you
I'm
can't
sorry.
write, that's good. That works. No, probably that's probably part of it. But when I was in 6th grade, I used to write a lot actually as a young child, and I've slipped away from that unfortunately. But in 6th grade, I was told that I could be a writer someday. That was what I should do, and unfortunately, I was an idiot and went a different way in life. And
Which was what?
Political science.
name it, and I was there. But
Were you working in classified ads? That's kind of being a writer.
Only different.
arc.
No, it's guffaw.
You deal with words.
But now I write because I'm certainly not doing it for money, because I haven't seen any of that, but I do it because I like to express things. It's like a part of you. You write, and there's something there in print, something important. Maybe a slice of that part of your life, maybe a slice of that part of your mind on paper that you feel you need to express. I don't know, if I do this, it may be to get attention. It may be also... That was a really rotten pan. It may be...
Greg, you're not going to cry, are you? That would
No.
be great on film.
I had my tear glands surgically removed.
No, I can't cry, Mark.
Come on, we'll pinch you.
He starts ripping off his
Drank too much
disguise. I'm actually a reptile.
No, I write because...
Because it's a good reason.
I can't name any real good reason or anything like that.
Now you know how we all felt when you turned the
No,
camera on.
it's-
I
Well,
was curious as to why people.
Hi, I'm an Aries. I've got to be on center stage
I always
constantly.
thought I could be good at it, actually. I was told I could be good at it. I have good ideas, so why
I was
waste
kinda
that?
Curious
I
to see
hate to
if
waste
anyone
it.
is actually wanting to get published.
Yes.
Having landed on the planet.
A major in
No, I used to
college. I
really
wanna be
want to get published, but now I just really want to write something.
Yeah.
I want to finish something.
I could really care less personally.
I think
Whew, good answer.
Like ask if you care.
You know where the Zoom is, Mark.
Yes, I've been
Oh,
zooming
you
in and
can use-
out
oh, good.
constantly.
I'm actually finding it important just to write, just to put thoughts on paper.
It's fun.
And everyone, I think the cat licked the straw.
Fluffy licks everything, I swear.
After it was cleaning
And she
itself.
sheds and goes to the bathroom. Bogus doesn't do any of those things.
Fluffy did it.
There are enough people wanting to get
Well, folks,
published
What did you just drop?
to some sort of
The
organization
remote control.
The remote control.
focusing towards
Well, that's
publication.
what I thought was done with
Mark
Well,
wants
listen, I
fluffy
hear
on
that there
there.
is an organization that's out there that's as phony as a $3 bill that's asked you for money and that they will publish your poem or whatever. And indeed, they will print it in a book and send it to those people that sent them money, but the money that they make from that far exceeds the output. So they do it
It's a
as
good scam.
oh,
Good old
without a doubt.
American
That's
way.
probably what I'm going to go into. That's all right. I'll still have a book with my poem in it. It'll stay.
I'll take the
But
call,
they will
Mark.
print your poem and
Yeah.
put it in a book with other people.
A suggestion.
Good old
That was a clever
American way.
Everyone
I think I got one.
Recording. Thank you. Okay, this is poetry. Guys. Oh, this is coliteration. Co-literation. I have lived 17 lives, I have died 16 times. I have seen many signs, I have answered many rhymes. When I should find a sacred home, will be the day no more to roam. Each time I learn so much more, and I want to get it right this time. My lives have taken me through tears of sorrows and lands of tomorrow. My thoughts have soared with the gods and have plunged the depths of hell. The deeds have planted seeds, the wind has carried the cries, the trees hold no lies, the rocks tremble and bleed. I long to fly upon the wind, to climb the sky to the sun, to the source, or the source of eternal light, to find, to merge with God, and again be one. Each life I have lived has carried me higher. Struggling onward, I recall the way to make my way to the sound of the lyre, or the lyre, and in the eternal flame to stay. This time I feel that my final transformation is here. All lessons past now fill my mind, and to the truth I am no longer blind. But that sight I've craved to see for years, of which men have raved and cried blood tears, is not so glorious as I once thought. It makes me furious. The coin with which it's bought, the price that's paid, all men shall see. The swords all stayed, this day to be. I can no longer write, for it is 12 o'clock midnight. For I am no poet, and everyone knows it. What does it mean when God leans dawn and stays? Or, I'm not sure what this is. Walk upon the waves when you're drowning in the water. Oh Father, one last time for air. With no mercy, he gives me no answers to my plea. Alone and scared, I felt myself fade to black.
Let's see.
The next page.
I have lived 18 lives, I have died 17 times. I've seen all I want to see, I've gone as far as I want to go. I've found my sacred home, so with a sigh of relief, I lie myself down. You may
Whoa.
pause
Okay.
if there's a title.
Suddenly the bullets flash out of the gun, hitting the target, the forehead of his former wife. Why did she change into an uncaring, inappropriate wife? I started out perfectly normal. Date to a dance, good night kiss, those long walks holding hands, solving all the world's problems. Waking up one day realizing what a team they made and how they get together create a better world to live. The wedding came and went, and reality suddenly set in. Going to work just to make ends meet, never having enough to go out to even McDonald's anymore. Forgetting to take the pill proved to be a fatal mistake, or should I say fetal mistake. But I had to take care of that. My Army issue revolver had sat up on the wall, unused until now. Eagerly it sprang to life, serving once again. Now I must remove this body. I pulled the car into the garage and closed the door. I moved her body into the trunk of the I can just see this happening.
That's right.
I cleaned the blood from the floor, leave no evidence, adding the blood-soaked rags to the trunk of the car along with a suitcase full of my beloved. I can't read this, my beloved things. I set out for a drive. As I made my way out of town, my muscles slowly began to unwind. The future was beginning to look quite promising, and it had been so easy. Suddenly what I saw through the windshield in front of me froze my blood. There she was, standing there, reminded me of the promise we had shared. No, it was only a delusion. She was dead in the trunk. I had shot her myself. Wait, I couldn't have shot her. That's why they had kicked me out of the army. I couldn't kill. It would drive me insane. Even the docs had said so. Then if I didn't shoot her, who had? What was I doing here? Where was here? I was in a car, but cars have steering wheels and windows, not beds and white padded walls. It was then that I realized who had shot her. It was the sheriff. For she was wanted by the law for crimes that were committed in Arizona. She had hot-wired a Studebaker and robbed 7 convenience stores at 11 o'clock p.m. all at gunpoint. 10th shift. Wait a minute. I was the sheriff. Okay, I'm locking up this psycho in a cell. Killed his wife. What a mess. Almost ran over me on the interstate. I went home that night. It was 11 o'clock. I kissed my wife goodnight. Then I noticed the 3 wet red holes in her forehead. I crawled into bed. Funny, I don't remember the sheets being so white and clean. As I got in, careful not to wake her, but giving her a little kiss on the cheek, I noticed the warm gun in my hand. It was an army revolver. Never saw it before in my life. Matter of fact, never saw this lady before in my life. Where was I? Who was I? What am I going to do? I had a dead body on my hands. So I pulled the car into the garage and loaded her cold body into the trunk. Wait a minute, I can't do this. I'm the sheriff. I have to report this. Later that day, I turned myself in. Since I'm the only law in the town, I turned myself into me. I was the prime suspect, of course, so I locked myself up. Now I couldn't sleep at night knowing that maniac was finally behind bars.
Twisted.
That is twisted.
I'm afraid. I'm mortally afraid.
Do it, man.
Do it, man.
This is great.
Spring came early that year. The gentle, cool rain would.
This is funny. Sorry. That wasn't even funny yet, but it gets better.
I thought maybe I made a joke and didn't realize.
You did. Read on.
The gentle, cool rain would fall upon the tin roof, tapping out nature's rhythm. I recall the day when I first met Julie. It had rained that morning. The sun was making its daily effort to dry the earth. The smell of wet earth permeated everything. Julie, flaxen hair flowed down her back. The most striking thing about her was her eyes. They were what first had attracted me. Startlingly blue, their depths reflected eternity. I had been hiking for miles when I first noticed that I was not alone. She was there next to me, a creature so much a part of the forest, I wondered if indeed she was a sylph. She smiled and a lightness came to my heart. May I join you? She asked. Her voice was as soft as the spring mist, yet it sparkled like an effervescent brook. How could I refuse? We spent what must have been weeks together. The time flew. Soon the summer sun was hot and high in the sky. By the way, I can't read out loud in case you haven't noticed. The lake looked cool and inviting. I didn't even need to ask. We removed the impediments of civilization and merged with nature. It's very sexual. After our swim on the cool grass by the lake, we lay letting the sun dry our bodies. It was then that I noticed there was something definitely different about Julie. She was not like the others. She had something unique about her, and it wasn't her eyes.
This is good to know.
She smiled and flicked her forked tongue out to tickle my nose. At first I was startled, but after she explained, I felt much better. You see, she said, my father was an iguana herder, and it got mighty lonely on those hot and steamy steps sometimes. Anyways, I forgave him for what he did to my mother. Gosh, imagine his surprise. Julie was a wonderful woman and was anatomically correct, except for that wonderful tongue, the green scaly back, and an odd diet. Things were great, except we had to move when the local pet store ran out of hamsters. Yep, Julie was half lizard, but I loved her. Things were going great until she had found out my little secret, much to her surprise. It happened one day, a beautiful day. It was our honeymoon night. We decided to join in physical as well as emotional emergence. I didn't think anything would phase her really. We had always accepted differences. But when she discovered my thick, coarse, Sicilian-like, what's that word?
Hairs.
Hairs that covered my back, she was shocked. She had always believed that I was human. Well, I am mostly human, I explained. But you see, my great-grandmother married a tall, thin, young Scottish arachnid musician. So in essence, your grandmother was a...
Grandfather should be.
Grandfather, excuse me. I'm sorry. Was a band leading a long granddaddy... Daddy long-legged laddie.
You say that out quick, it really swings. Oh, that's great.
Okay, we'll try that. A band leading a long granddaddy, daddy, long-legged laddie.
I liked it, it just popped in my head.
You've got it, I said joyfully. Well, this just can't be. This. Excuse me, I'm having a problem with English. Well, this just can't be. We have been eating daddy long legs for ages. And not it's a tradition.
I didn't write this.
After that, the meal began.
Really turned around. Did it end like you thought it would, Frank? The female eating the male, of course.
That's so funny.
Spotlight on Jill.
I'm sorry.
Standing in the courtyard with a chill wind blowing through his hair, he took one final look. Tendrils of smoke still crept from the ruin that was once his home. Too deadened for tears, the sight produced in him only a heaviness of heart, one which would not easily be lifted. He wondered why. Why had they done this? He had served well. They just wouldn't listen. He had warned them that the evil would come, and come it did. He had managed to turn the evil away for a short time. Now they turned on him. The evil would return soon. Should he stay and fight? Fight for what once was his home? Or should he just leave? There were other places that needed him. They would use him well and reward him even more. These people had turned on him, hadn't they? Did he need to stay to protect that which was hidden? It was strong. It could guard itself, couldn't it? No, it could not. He must prepare himself for a long and hard journey that would lead him to the people or things that had done this to him.
Good indefinite answer.
He climbed on his mighty steed and was off to face an unknown future. Soon he arrived at the old man's house. Walking forcefully up to the classy home of this man who legends have been written, this mortal who the gods have blessed. This one man, old as he may be, could make or break his future, for he had a power beyond the verdicts of the faith. With firm firm determination, he entered the mansion without even knocking. He knew right where the old man would be. With a couple of quick leaps, he bounded nimbly up the stairs. Down through the spacious hall he jogged. He took a bust from the ancient gallery, and he continued on down the hall till he came to a door. The door which led to the room where the old man sleeps. Without announcing his arrival, he broke down the door with a hefty blow and strode inside. On a bed, sickly and on the verge of death, lay the old man. He walked over to the side of the bed and leaned over to look at the old man in the face. He stared into his deep eyes. His eyes told everything. He could see all. He watched, and he learned until no more could be gained. Then with a single blow, he brought the marble bust down upon the old man's head, killing him. He let the blood...
I'm sorry.
He let the bloody bust drop to the floor and roll to the corner of the room. He killed himself that day, the old, sick, tired soul, the golden years tarnished, now polished clean. He worried that he would never leave that sick bed. He feared that it would be his tomb. His first steps were incredibly meek. His withered, frail body had not been used this way in years. Many times he was offered help. Families and friends were all refused. It was his struggle. If he would have listened to his father that dreadful day, the day the mill house wheel jammed, and without thinking, kicked the broken wheel with his foot. As the gears moved, his pant leg was caught, pulling his leg towards an almost certain doom. Molding clay became second nature to his hands, the hands that now turned the wheels of an old, worn-out wheelchair. The bust was almost complete. It was of a most beautiful woman, the woman he had come to love. She was always there to model on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But there was work to do, no time for pondering the past. He knew the evil would reform, but that would give them the advantage. He would get them. He stepped outside. Too late. They were back. 4 horses floated down from the sky. "We've come for you," the one upon the pale horse said. "Go to hell," I cried, "after I'm through with you." I felt his evil choking me. Somewhere, something inside of me broke. I yelled a single word. The horseman burst into flames. I had defeated death and company.
Oh, like the and company part.
Strange and demented ending.
That was a twisted story. It sounds like something out of 2001.
I was getting quite tangential and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, with the meal house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dragons, be they devils or gods, shall always be with us. They influence our thoughts and actions. In times of old, men fought them to prove their bravery, or prayed to them to bring them rain. One thing is for certain, they are wily creatures. They are rumored to have great intelligence and live for centuries. They seldom interact, but legends have been written of their meetings. When they fight together, their strength is unsurpassed, and when they fight each other, their fury knows no end. And I should know, for I am the great warrior. I have seen many dragons in battle. They fight fiercely, as the rumors say, except in the case of one. It was a single day's journey into the crags, the crumbly stores crashing into yawning, vapor-filled abysses. I traveled against the warm wind until I found the wet crevasse that marked the entrance of Ragnarok's territory. I donned my multi-layer flexi-steel armor with omni-mesh joints and iridium-laced, heat-resistant +8 full-field plate armor. I sharpened my two-handed adamantite reinforced acid-tipped vorpal sword of reaming quietly. Finally donning my cloak of stealth, I slipped into the crack. Dark and
It helps to mutter words like that.
dark and protective. for now, they're not much of a shield against the dragons. For could I truly stand against the mightiest of beasts, a monster that had no adjectives to describe? So with a sigh, I strode into the den of dragons. When to my eyes I might behold a sight that brought me to standstill. Behind a roll-top desk of oak, behind piles and stacks of aged crumbling tomes, behind a shuffled piles of parchment sat a dragon, casually perusing over a scroll in alternate realities. He peered up at me with tiny gold rimmed through the tiny gold rimmed spectacles that rested precariously balanced on the end of his nose. "Come forth, mortal," he growled. "What dost thou seek?" "I seek to slay a mighty beast, a beast so awesome that men shudder to speak of it, a beast so cruel that not even an insect would dare approach." "Indeed, thou hast certainly found the beast," he said as he stared through me. "Now what is it that is to be done?" As we looked into each other's eyes, the mental battle had begun, knowing full well that only one victor would stand. "Are there any ground rules?" I numbly asked, looking around at all the piles of skulls stacked neatly in corners. "Why, yes, there are some rules to be observed, and you, my friend, have not stated your name." I stated proudly, "am Valian, the Destroyer." The battle was about to begin, and you, sir, are... Paused. "Bored," he answered, as a flame poured forth from his mouth.
Bored.
Carbon formed on my armor, but its integrity held. I dodged in time to avoid his sweeping tail. I brought down my sword as the tail flicked by. The last 2 feet didn't go any further. "First blood!" I cried. "Fiend!" the dragon cried, with a wince. "Enough of these games!" With a word and a flip of his wing, the dragon leaped back and looked up as did I. But to no avail, the boulder crashed down upon me, making my acid-tipped sword and fully functioning plate armor completely useless. "Ha! Got you!" the dragon cried. "And now to finish you off." And so the dragon began. He talked of past battles and past enemies, and childhood friends and past battles, and eventually the proud, brave knight died of boredom.
It's a mighty beast. Lord.
Beast.
It's one of those Trixie stories.
Oh God, is it one of the?
Yes, it's
Trixie
one of
stories?
the
One of the 2 Trixie stories.
Okay. It was a day like any other. I took the same bus to school, sat at the same desk. But what wasn't ordinary was my mind. That's right, I had a dream about telekinesis, the power to move things with my mind. When I woke, I discovered I still had the ability. At first I used it covertly, sliding pieces of chalk to where the teacher couldn't find them, yanking her pantyhose down, sliding her glasses off of her nose, etc. But there was a lot more mischief than that. With this power, I came to the conclusion that I could do just about anything. I wanted what? I wanted or make people to do just about anything. I wanted then to do it. It happened that night, my 16th birthday. I found out just how much power I really did have. There had been this girl, a real knockout. Her name was Trixie Boladero. I had always been fascinated by her. She was not like the other bimbettes that I had grown acquainted to and frankly quite tired of. No, Trixie was different, very different, as if I've known her somewhere else. Yes, that birthmark really felt familiar. I knew I had to have her. I had the power and I was going to have my way.
I felt no guilt for using my gift for my personal benefit, so I used my power on her. I knew Trixie was different, but when my power didn't work on Trixie, I could not figure out why. I was confused and perplexed, but most of all, turned on.
Mark's true fantasy.
I knew I had to have her now. I've always enjoyed a challenge, and that was when I noticed the birthmark growing.
Glowing.
I settled up to her in the cafeteria. "Hi, Trixie," I said. "Buzz off, shit for brains."
That's obviously right.
She wanted me too. This was her kind of foreplay. We exchanged a few more words, and she abruptly left. I rested my head on the table and chuckled openly to myself. Tears of joy streamed down my face. She was mine. The owners of the canine kennels were proud.
Guy changes this. He takes it off.
Proud.
We're proud lot.
We're a proud lot. They boasted of how clean the floors were and how they well kept the lawns, despite the piles of doggy doo here and there. But enough of that. Back to the birthmark of what, or was that a scar from a medical experiment? all of the animals here have undergone some form of transmind formation.
Oh, that swerve.
My joy at my initial success kept me in rapture for the rest of the day. I was determined to possess her. I followed her home that day. Now I knew where she lived. I forced a passing car to stop and give me a ride home. I walked in the door and my mother started nagging me immediately. I moved the pan on the stove, tossed it on the floor. Mother left me alone. I had plans to make no time for her bitching. First, I had to call canine kennels. They had a lot of practice in an area that I needed to know more about. Okay. He knew that Trixie was not working this afternoon because she had cheerleading practice. He knew because he was normally down there causing her skirt to fly up a little higher as she jumped. She worked at the kennels, had been for a year. I went in and looked in the files. Don't ask how I got into them. Yes. There I saw a name, her name. She had been a dog. No wonder she seemed as if she was in heat. Wait, there's more. I was a dog too. How could that be? I was human, wasn't I? No, I guess today really wasn't an ordinary day after all, was it?
That is too twisted. That is why.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Sorry, I drifted out.
Sure, yeah.
You're gone.
Be careful because if the neighbors start to hear us, it'll be a bad time for them to like us very much. But it could be me because Bruce was a man who smelled of sulfurous gas fumes. He was one of those people who just stands a little close for just slightly longer than you can hold down your lunch. Bruce never liked me much after I barfed all over in the cafeteria that day, right in front of Teen Flame Trixie Buckstera. See the name when it was said, Bruce shuddered with hormones. Trixie being a cheerleader and all, well, I shan't go on, you know the species. Bruce had always been infatuated with Trixie Buckadero. She was everything to him, and he had to have her no matter what the cost, and he was a determined teenager. Though there had always been things no one knew about Trixie Buckadero, everyone knew that they knew nothing about her. She was a mystery, okay? And she meant to keep it that way. That may have been what intrigued Bruce the most. Perhaps he thought that the more he contemplated the subject, the more he was sure it was the mark. The birthmark was never obvious. One could hardly notice it, but he knew it was there, although he had never seen it himself. And that is what intrigued him. times he would close his eyes and imagine her, and of course the birthmark. He decided to muster up the courage and ask her out. It was lunch, and he sidled up to her and then grabbed the period. Hi, Trixie. Hi, Trixie, voice quivered. Buzz off. XX. Not an encouraging sign. But he kept trying. If nothing else, he would take it. Trixie, I was wondering, that must be hard with no brain. She laughed out savagely. No, please, just listen to me, he whimpered. She stood abruptly and left the dining room. Her latest hand on the table and wept. Greg! That was Bruce. Suddenly the bell rang and realized
He
that
doesn't
there
crank
was
his tears
danger in
away.
but knowing full well lunch was not on his mind. As he walked slowly towards the cafeteria, the moment in his mind exactly what it to say, Trixie. Trixie, the girl with dreams. Bruce walked up to her. He was quivering in anticipation. He was standing right beside her.
Me.
The draft hit me as he opened his mouth to fulfill his greatest dream. I opened mine to purge myself of my life.
Spray.
I looked that face burning red. I couldn't breathe. So I threw it up.
Come on, read it out loud. I didn't see it here.
But as our eyes met, I did not see scorn or disdain, but something else. A slight smile played on her lips. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Could there be more to the mystery of Trixie than he had ever dreamed? Did she like him? Oh, that would be wonderful. Or was she just stranger than anyone thought? And life regurgitated her name. She was too beautiful for that. No, it couldn't be that. Still, what does that mean for Bruce? Poor Bruce. Maybe I should stop his pain. I'll ask Trixie out right now. That way he won't get embarrassed. After all, he is my friend. Well, sort of. Trixie, a little uncertain.
Bark buddy.
Trixie, firm now. Would you like to go out with me? She turned and said, I'm sorry, but I'm, well, different. By different, what do you mean? I'm really not Trixie Baxdero. I'm Travis McSally. About this. Good ending, right?
That's adorable.
That was cool.
Okay, wait a second.
Well, the real
Sure it is. No. I need to get the full impact, so somebody else has to read it.
No, you have
No,
to read
you
it.
have to read it.
Just
Yeah,
pretend the
muddle through.
camera isn't there. After all,
Pretend
it's
it's
not
not
on.
No,
you.
I
reading
want
it.
the camera on me. I just want somebody else to read it.
Ventriloquist.
Pretend you're someone else.
You are someone else.
It works
Oh, yeah.
for me.
You're always someone
You're
else.
Trixie. Travis.
That birthmark. I've never quite noticed it before.
It's glowing or growing. Whichever. Same difference.
Oh gosh. I have a lot of cats. I mean, I used to. Oh. Wait. Oh, how I love those cats. They were They were once my life. So to say. But how did it all fade away? It didn't really fade away. It all crumbled to the ground, not the earth nor the sky, but the big blue eye. I'm talking about the eye in the sky, the one that watched us all. Somehow, some know him as Big Brother, but I call him son. Not that I gave birth to him, but my son nevertheless. Nor did I adopt. But I still call him my son. The sun in the sky flared its, wait, is that right? Flared its heat down upon the desert sand. The shifting sands hide my secrets and still. Is that right?
Hold many secrets untold.
Oh, untold. For the sands are as old as time itself, and as the sand flows through itself, and as the sand flows through the hourglass,
Right meter.
the time passes slowly by. It's time to go home. I've spent too long wondering about the
Wondering
about
Yeah, that kind of.
oh, okay.
You're there.
You are here.
The
Very good.
Now you're at the other side.
the glade never has looked so well. I'm not sure how to put it. Abstract, yes, that's the word.
You need a translator.
Flowers everywhere, in the fields, on the hills, in the sky, and in my eyes. Cat's eyes they were, and iron maidens, and blue armadillos, marbles. I love them. They're small, aren't they? Round, and boy, are they just neat. I like marbles, but I also like boys. I like John and Dave and Steve and Alberto and Simon and Charlie, and cats are wondrous creatures. Their kindness is only surpassed by their grace. But now I must put them back into my marble bag. I've lost so many things in the past. First it was my dog Sparky. He was my best friend. He would always be waiting for me after school. We would go to the park and chase gray squirrels. But one day he was not there, and that's supposed to be I went looking for him, aiming only to discover he had been attacked by a
Mutant.
tomcat.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay, yeah.
You did worse things.
Sparky had the most beautiful eyes, so I kept them all the other beautiful things. My mother's fingernails, my pet mouse, and my favorite. My old teacher's face. His face out of.
I remember. That was from a long time ago.
His face out of all of my treasures. That was my favorite. No idea of.
That's funny.
No idea of mine has ever surpassed it in artistic genus. I just cannot understand the lack in others, that they fail to see the beauty in it. I just wish that I had gotten this, or his eyes. He had the most beautiful eyes, like a cat. Yes, cats. That's what we were talking about. Wasn't it, dear? You are so pretty, child. So young and fresh. I love beauty, you know. I want you to stay. No, don't cry, child. Those tears like jewels that fall from your eyes. Your eyes, my dear, they're like sapphires. Sapphires. Did I show you my sapphires? They sparkle like stars. Have you ever looked at the stars? I love the stars.
This is creepy.
They are so bright. Your eyes are bright, child. They are so beautiful. No, don't cry, child. I'm sorry. I love you, child. So beautiful. I'm sorry. Wait.
Ah!
Wait. Is that this a minute?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay.
This.
Not you.
Fuzzy?
Fluffy.
Fluffy. Wait a minute, Fluffy is getting away. That is, don't worry yourself over such little matters. If she gets catnapped, it will be her own fault. And you know there is a $500 bonus on their eyes.
Twisted story.
Sparkle, sparkle, golden eyes, how I wonder at your size, set inside a feline's brain, like a poem, you still remain.
It's really weird.
It's almost creepy.
That is really.
Two eyes and cats.
It did.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
know.
ironic. It kept on going.
How do I feel? How do I feel? How dare he ask me that after all he did to me? And he expects me to forgive him? Even time cannot heal these wounds. These wounds are deeper than mortal flesh. I've been scarred, and never shall I be the same. The hum of the car's engine softly purred as it caressed my aching mind. It was a state that felt as if the ocean's cleansing waves were flowing over my body. I found myself lost, far away from the worries of harm done. And here all is. My mind was jarred into reality as the squeal of brakes ripped into my ears. I looked in terror to see the car raging towards mine. Collision was inevitable. I tried to swerve. The lights were intense. I remember being strapped to a gurney and being rushed down the hospital hall. Nothing mattered to me. I heard a long tone, a tone that punctuated the ending of my life story. I fell into a pit. Its blackness filled me, became me, until there could be no more room for love or hate or happiness or regret. I was nothing. Is this all there is to it? I thought your life would pass before you and the good times, and the bad would suddenly flash quickly into view and then be replaced by some unrelated turn of events. Now there's a warm feeling again. The light is coming nearer. The glow is so beautiful, and the sound of, no, it can't be. I passed painfully from the birth canal. The shock of light, cold hands grasped me. I was slapped. Pain, no more pain. I felt consumed by agony. My memory, it's intact. How? Why? My thoughts continue as though I have awakened on my hospital bed, but my senses are muddled. I am a child again, helpless and defenseless, trapped. Is it always like this? Do you forget as you age? I think not, but this means I'll have 2 lives to live. I can carry myself ahead. I'll be better than anyone else. I have the knowledge already. I'm growing hungry. I have to eat soon. Maybe I'll cry. I know how irritating it is. But I also know the response every adult has. What an advantage. I hope she doesn't breast me. I mean, that would be hard to deal with, after all. I am a woman, aren't I? Oh no, I'm not. I'm a male. What am I going to do? When I grow up, will I be gay? Or will I not? Will know the real reason of my behaviors? Will I be able to tell them? Is this what happens to others? Maybe I'll get a role in a movie and play a female playing a male, playing a female. No, time out. What am I thinking? Get your head on straight, boy. I have the solution. I believe there's a .45 caliber pistol on the table.
Pretty hard for a baby to manipulate.
Start all over again.
Can you imagine this little baby grasping for a .45 caliber pistol?